A very good morning to all of you. Today we are going to study the female reproductive system in the case of the angiospermic plant. The female reproductive system is known as the structure is known as the gynoecium. And you know that each and every word have its own unit. The calyx having the unit sepal, the corolla having the unit called petals, and similarly the gynoecium is the innermost word, it having the unit that is known as the pistil. The pistil is also known as the carpel. So let us study the different aspect of this pistil. So the pistil is the unit of the female reproductive structure that is known as the gynoecium. And the pistil, number of the pistil may be one or it may be many. If only one pistil present, it is known as a monocarpellary. See the technical term monocarpellary, because the pistil is also known as the carpels. So monocarpellary means a flower having gynoecium, and a gynoecium having only one carpel, that is known as the monocarpellary. And if more than one carpel present, it is known as the multicarpellary condition. Multicarpellary condition. And if a flower is a multicarpellary, the carpels may be united or it may be free. If the carpels are free, it is known as the apocarpous condition. Apocarpous. And if the carpels are united and become one bundle or united, it is known as the syncarpous condition. Syncarpous. So carpels may be single, it is called a monocarpellary, or it may be many, that is known as a multicarpellary. If a multicarpellary, it may be apocarpous condition or it may be syncarpous condition. See, apocarpous condition and syncarpous condition. Before that, we will study what are the different parts of a typical flower. Typical carpel or pistil. A pistil have a style. This is a style. The style followed by an ovary. So this is the ovary. The ovary is attached to the thalamus. So this is the thalamus. Stalk, pedicel, thalamus. On the thalamus, the carpel is attached, and each carpel or pistil have three parts. So one of the part is known as the stigma. So this is the stigma. Stigma. And the next part is stalk-like, tube-like structure, that is known as the style. And below the style, there is a bulged part that is known as the ovary. So here, this is one carpel. So sometimes many carpel present, that is known as the multicarpellary condition. In the multicarpellary condition, a very good example is the papaver. In the papaver, see the carpels, how the carpels are arranged. So here, this is the stigma. So all these are the stigma, and the style present inside, all the style and the carpels that fuse with each other and formed a single structure, united structure. So this is the good example for the syncarpous condition. Syncarpous. Example, papaver. Papaver somniferum. Papaver. This is fused. All these are fused together and forming a single mass. And sometimes it is totally free. Then it is known as the apocarpous condition. A good example of apocarpous condition is the Michaelia plant. In the Michaelia plant, you can see the stalk. This is the stalk, and here is the thalamus. And on the thalamus, the different carpels are arranged. This is the one carpel. This is the another one. Third, like that, many carpels are arranged on this thalamus, and all these carpels are free. Hence, it is known as the apocarpous condition. And example for that is the Michaelia. Michaelia. So these are the two conditions. So each and every carpels, if you take one carpel outside, and that carpel also you can see a stigma, a style, and the ovary. So what is present inside the ovary? Inside the ovary there is a locule, or there is a chamber, and this chamber is known as the locule. The locule may be single or it may be divided in a number of the sub compartments. So that details we are not going to study here. We are actually, it is a part of the sexual reproduction. Okay, so locule. In the locule, you can see the placenta. This is the placenta. On the placenta, an ovule is attached. So that is seen inside the ovary. The ovule may be single. In the case of the rice, wheat, so it has only one ovule, and ovule may be many. In the case of the watermelon and orchid, the ovules are many. So ovules may be single or it may be many. So both the conditions are available, and carpels may be united or carpels may be free. And the free it is known as the apocarpus, and it is united, that condition is known as the syncarpus. So this is the structure of different parts of a typical carpel, and this is the condition how many carpels are present inside syncarpus, or it may be apocarpus condition. Okay. So I told them in the ovary. So this is the ovary containing placenta. On the placenta, the ovules are attached. So let us study the details of this ovule, because the ovule is the most important part in the female reproductive structure. So we are going to study the topic is sexual reproduction in the angiospermic plant or the flowering plant. So study the structure of the structure of the ovule is very important. Ovule means megasporangium. So let us study the structure of a megasporangium. Megasporangium is also known as ovule. So there are different types of the ovule. An ovule structure is explained in the NCERT textbook, that is the anatropous ovule. So I will draw an anatropous ovule, structure of an anatropous ovule. An ovule having an embryo sac. This is the embryo sac, and outside the embryo sac you can see a nucleus, a diploid tissue, a group of the mass of the diploid tissue, that is known as the nucleus. And this nucleus is enclosed by two layers. It is enclosed by two coat. See here, this is the one coat, and this is the another one. Another one. There is the inner coat and outer coat. It is called the integument. So this is a typical anatropous ovule. So what are the different structure? So inside there is an embryo sac, or it is called female gametophyte, embryo sac. Outside the embryo sac you can see the nucleus. This tissue is called nucleus tissue, and outside the nucleus tissue, or this embryo sac and the nucleus ovule, this is actually called ovule. This both together known as the ovule, and this ovule is enclosed by two layers, two coats, two integument is present. That is the outer integument. This is the outer integument. Integument means cover. And the inner integument, this is called the inner integument. So outer integument and inner integument. Okay. Then this integument is not entire. It will leave a small gap here. This gap is known as the micropyle. And each ovule has a stalk. The stalk is known as the funicle. So the funicle is attaching to the mass of the ovule at a point. This is known as the hilum. And this funicle attaching to the placenta, and the placenta attaching to the ovary. So this type of the ovule is known as the anatropous ovule. It is called anatropous ovule because the micropyle and the funicle is right angles to each other. See here, like this. It is right angles to each other, then it is known as the anatropous ovule. There are orthotropous ovule, both the funicle and the micropyle coming on the same line, that is known as the orthotropous ovule. So this is the anatropous ovule. And inside the anatropous ovule, there is a mass of the tissue, and this tissue is diploid, and that is known as the nucleus. Okay, in this nucleus, this embryo sac will develop. embryo development and embryo sac development taken place inside the nucellus. So this is the structure of the megasporangium. So now we are going to study the sporogenesis, how the megaspore is formed in the megasporangium. Megasporangium is the ovule. So in the ovule, how the megaspore is formed. The microspore formation we already studied, that is known as the pollen grains. So pollen grains is already formation already studied. Then microspore is requiring for the fertilization. So how the microspore is formed, that is known as microsporogenesis. Microsporogenesis. How the microspore formation taken place. So first we studied there is a diploid group of tissue that is known as the nucellus. Okay. So outside the nucellus you can see the two layer, that is the outer integument and the inner integument is already present there, and there is a funicle. So this is the ovule, anatropous ovule. So this is the nucellus. This tissue complete is known mass of the parenchymatous tissue, diploid parenchymatous tissue, that is known as the nucellus. So in the nucellus, a particular cell very near to the micropyle end. So this is the micropyle. So this is the micropyle. So near to the micropyle, a cell in the nucellus near to the micropyle, it become enlarged and showing a particular structural modification. So it become enlarged. This cell is known as the archisporium. It is called archisporium. And this archisporium is directly acting as a megaspore mother cell. So some morphological change, it change into megaspore mother cell. So this same archisporium, it change into megaspore mother cell. Megaspore mother cell. Megaspore mother cell. So archisporium directly change into a megaspore mother cell. So megaspore mother cell is a diploid. So we have to produce a haploid megaspore. So for the conversion of the diploid to haploid, meiotic division must be taken place. So this undergoing the meiotic division. So by the meiotic division, it producing, suppose this is the ovule, and ovule containing the megaspore mother cell, and this megaspore mother cell having the nucleus. This nucleus will divide into two, and then a cell formation taken place outside, inside. Cytoplasm is not divides completely, but a cell wall formation taken place. Then after that, so it can convert it into haploid, two haploid cells. Then again each one divides and produce 4 cells by the second meiotic division. So it is producing like this. This is the one cell, this is the another cell, third and fourth. So 4 cells are produced by the meiosis. So the product of the meiosis, we know that there are 4 cells, each cell containing haploid number of the chromosomes or the n number of the chromosomes. And out of the 4 cells, it is present a tetrad condition and linearly arranged one above the another. It arranged one above the another, and it having the 4 cells, so it is known as a tetrad condition. Out of the 4 cells, the 3 cells are present in the micropylar end. Suppose this is the micropyle, and these 3 cells, 1, 2, and 3. These 3 cells will degenerate. So the 3 cells in the micropylar end will degenerate, and the cell that is present in the chala end, it is known as the chala end. The chala end will remaining here. So this will remain here, and this function as a megaspore. This function as the functional megaspore. It is called functional megaspore. Functional megaspore. So like that, a megaspore is produced. Functional megaspore is produced. All other 3 is degenerated. That is not available. So this is the main difference between the microsporogenesis and the megasporogenesis. In the microsporogenesis, tetrad formed. So this is the tetrad, and in the tetrad, all the 4 pollen grains are viable and it is remaining, and it is available for the fertilization. But in the case of the megasporogenesis, so this is the megasporogenesis. Megasporogenesis. So this is megasporogenesis, not a microsporogenesis, megasporogenesis. sporogenesis. Only in the case of the microsporogenesis, 4 pollen grains are viable, and all these are healthy, and all the pollen grains are available later for the fertilization. But in the case of the megasporogenesis, out of the 4 cells tetrad, and 3 will degenerate, and 1 will remaining as a functional megaspore, and that functional megaspore is present near to the cell end. Okay, so that is forming here. So this is the functional megaspore that is present near to the cell end. So like that, the megasporogenesis is completed. Okay. Then what happens next? From the megaspore, a female gametophyte will produce it. Just like from the microspore, a male gametophyte produced. Here also from the megaspore, a female gametophyte will produce. So let us see how the female gametophyte is forming. Female gametophyte. Formation of the female gametophyte. So how the female gametophyte is forming? So now in the nucleus, this is the nucleus. The nucleus having a functional megaspore. This is the functional megaspore with the nucleus. Functional megaspore cell and their nucleus. So now what happens? This nucleus undergoing the multiplication. It will divide, or this nucleus will divide, and first it divides into two cells. It divides into 2 nucleus. So 2 nucleus. Then after that, each one again divides into 2 by mitosis. So see here, it is a haploid. The haploid divides by mitosis and not by meiosis. Okay. So this haploid, the nucleus of the megaspore, functional megaspore, divides by the mitosis and produces 2 haploid nucleus, and these 2 nucleus, out of the 2 nucleus, 1 remaining in the cell end, and 1 remaining near to the micropylar end, moving to the micropylar end, and each one again divides into 2 by mitosis. So this divides into 2, and this also divides into 2. So now 4 haploid nucleus is there, and each 4 haploid nucleus again divides by mitosis. So here total 8 nucleus will form. So each one divides. So here forming 2, 2, 4, and again here 2, 2, and 2, 4. So total 8 nucleus condition is formed. And out of this 8 nucleus, 3 nucleus will remain in there, and 1 nucleus migrating towards the center. So here this nucleus it migrating towards the center, and this nucleus is migrating towards the center, and 3 will remaining there. Then next what happens? Each 3 nucleus that are present in the micropylar end, and 3 nucleus are present in the cell end, it aggregating the cytoplasm and producing the cell wall. So, but this remaining as such without producing the cell wall. Okay. So here these three, it moving towards the micropylar end, 1 remaining in the center. That is producing the cell wall, and 2 remaining on the sides, on either sides like this. And these 3 also in the cell end, that 1 remaining in the center, and the 2 remaining on the side. So these are the cells with the nucleus. And now 6 cells formed. Okay, and the remaining 2 remaining in the large cell present in the center. This is called a central cell. So this is the large cell that is present inside the, or in the center, that is having the 2 nuclei. The 2 nuclei present here in the center cell, that is known as the polar nucleus. Polar nuclei 2. This is a nuclei plural, and the micropylar end. Suppose this is the micropylar end. So in the micropylar end, the 3 nucleus in the center, it is known as the egg cell. That is the egg, and on either side present, that is known as the synergid. And these 2 nucleus or the 3 nucleus together, it is known as the egg apparatus. Egg apparatus. And the 3 nucleus, 3 cells remaining on the cell end. This is the cell end. And these 3 together known as the antipodals. Antipodals. So this structure formed here, it is known as the female gametophyte. So a female gametophyte have how many cells? 7 cells, but the nucleus cells 8 nuclei present there. 8 nuclei and 7 cell present, because the central cell having the 2 nuclei separately without any cell wall formation. A cell wall present only the central cell having the cell wall, but each nucleus having no separate cell wall. So one cell having 2 nuclei and 3 nuclei present, 3 cell present at the micropylon, that is known as the egg apparatus. In the center one is called egg, and on either side it is having the synergid, and the cell end having 3 cell, that is known as the antipodal. And one very important point here, this synergid. Suppose this is the one synergid, this is the egg, and this is another synergid. The synergid having an irregular shaped filament-like structure on one of the synergid, and this is known as the filiform apparatus. Filiform apparatus. What is the use of the filiform apparatus? The filiform apparatus helping to lead the pollen tube. The pollen tube is coming, and the pollen tube have to enter inside, and this filiform apparatus helping to guide how to enter and where to enter the pollen tube. The pollen tube coming inside, it containing 2 male gamete, and it will break, the male gamete will release in the ovule, in the egg or in the nucellus. Sorry, not in the embryo sac. It is releasing in the embryo sac. And sometimes in some plant, for example, in the pepper plant, black pepper plant, this nucellus, a thin layer of the nucellus will remaining outside. A thin layer of the nucellus. Actually, from the nucellus is already consumed. There is no nucellus available there. But in some particular plant, for example, the black pepper, then outer a thin layer of the nucellus, diploid nucellus will remaining outside. That thin layer of the nucellus is known as the perisperma. Perisperma. Okay, that is the perisperma. So here, this type of the development is called monosporic development, because out of the 4 haploid cell formed by the meiosis of the megaspore mother cell, only one become functional, and from that one functional megaspore, and this embryo sac is formed. So this type of the development of the embryo, is known as the monosporic development. Monosporic, because 4 cells are formed, 4 haploid cells are formed. Out of the 4 haploid cells, 3 degenerate, only one remaining there, that is known as the megaspore mother cell. From this megaspore mother cell, this embryo sac is later formed. So it is called a monosporic development. So that is known as the female gametophyte formation. So today we studied the structure of the pistil or the carpel and the different variations. Then we studied how the female gamete, how the megaspore is developed, that is the megasporogenesis, and then studied how the female gametophyte is formed and what is the structure of the female gametophyte, and we also studied the structure of the microsporangium, means the ovule. The ovule we studied, that is the anatropous ovule, because the micropyle and the punicle is right angles to each other. If in the straight line, it is known as the orthotropous ovule. So thank you very much for this.